Hi there, this is Tantian. Today we'll be talking about how I feel the stock market will react in January of 2022. Given that the Federal Reserve have decided to wind down its bond purchase and might be increasing interest rates very soon, many investors are wondering which camp should they park their money into. Due to the zero interest in 2020 and 2021, many investors decided to invest in high-growth technology companies. However, when there's news that interest rates might be rising, some investors got spooked and started selling parts of their growth companies. Hence, in today's video, we'll be talking about how I feel the stock market will react in January of 2022. Before we continue, please smash the like button. And if you'd like to see more such videos, please subscribe to this channel. Firstly, we'll be talking about the reasons some investors feel the market should go higher. Due to the Federal Reserve slowing down its bond purchase and thinking of raising rates in the near term, some investors have decided to let go of their growth companies and pick up some high dividend paying companies. Won't this cause the stock market to drop in the short term? It sure will, but when the change in the companies being favored by Wall Street, there is no doubt that these dividend companies would start to take charge and lift the stock market higher. This is known as a rotation of stocks. Therefore, this trajectory from growth to high dividend companies will not pull down the stock market. Secondly, we'll be talking about the reasons most investors feel the stock market should go lower. The first reason is rising inflation. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a new era of inflation inequality economic one, in which poor households bear the brunt of rising prices. That is because a bigger portion of the budget goes towards categories that have spiked in cost. Food is up 6.4% over the past year, for example, while gasoline jumps a whopping 58%. And now, many people are facing those high prices as federal stimulus programs fade away. By contrast, spending by wealthy households went up by only 6%. This disparity is typically during inflation periods, says Ken Miller, which directs the Penn Watson model. But since the 1980s, the last time price rose this quickly, high-income households have shifted most of the spending away from goods and towards service. For example, in 2020, food was 12.7% of the budget for the top 5% of households, compared with 16% of the budget for the bottom 20%. The second reason is that Senate Joe Manchin said that he will not work for President Biden Build Back Better Act. Manchin's decision will likely kill the $1.75 trillion social spending and climate policy bills as it is now. Democrats need Manchin's work in a 50-50 Senate plus a tiebreaker from Vice President Kamala Harris. Quote, if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I cannot vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can get there. Manchin said on Fox News, saying he will concern with adding the national debt. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Manchin's decision represents a sudden and inexplicable reversal in his position and a breach of his commitments to the President and Senate's colleagues in the House and Senate. Due to this, Goldman cut the GDP forecast after Senate Manchin said it will not support President Biden's Build Back Better plan. The apparent failure of President Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan means that the economic growth could be weaker than expected next year, according to Goldman Sachs. BBB enactment had already looked like a close call, and in light of mentions comment readjusting our forecast to remove the assumption that BBB will become law. While BBB in its current form looks unlikely, there's a good chance that Congress enact a smaller set of physical proposals dealing with manufacturing incentives and supply chain issues, the note said. The third reason is that there's a presence of a new variant. Given that we don't know how the variant could affect the reopening and recovery of economies, most investors are extremely cautious, especially in the first few weeks of 2022. The World Health Organization cautioned that Omicron had not spread widely among the population most at risk, making it difficult to determine whether or not this variant is inherently less severe than previous strains of the virus. Dr. Abdul Mohamed, the WHO Incidence Manager for COVID, said data from South Africa suggests Omicron caused minor illness is encouraging, but the variant has mostly infected younger people so far who generally develops less severe disease. Dr. Mike Ryan, Executive Director of the WHO Health Immunity Program, noted that large numbers of people in South Africa have antibodies from prior infection. Those antibodies could provide some degree of protection, making Omicron look milder than it will be in a population where many people do not have antibodies. Ryan cautioned that hospitalizations are rising in some countries in Europe, but it is unclear whether the increase is from Omicron or Delta. He said Omicron is slowly moving into older age groups and more data will soon emerge on how it is impacting those people. Ryan echoed the warning of many public health officials, said Omicron can still produce high levels of hospitalization simply because it spread so quickly. The WHO has previously said Omicron spread faster than any past variant. Next, US COVID case rise to pandemic high as Delta and Omicron circulate at the same time. The fresh pandemic peaks comes as the Delta and Omicron variant are spreading simultaneously. The previous domain Delta variant was already driving US case counts higher this fall, before the emergence of Omicron, which is contributing to a near vertical rise in daily new cases. Roughly 62% of the US population is fully vaccinated with 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna shot, or 1 dose of the J&J vaccine. US health officials have warned that the risk remains highest for the unvaccinated and are pushing Americans to get a booster dose to better protect them against Omicron. While the global scientific community is still gathering data on the new variant, which was first detected in southern Africa in late November, there has been some encouraging early news. Real-world studies from South Africa and the UK suggest that people infected with Omicron develop more mild illness compared with Delta, and Pfizer and Moderna have each said that the third dose of their mRNA COVID vaccine appears to provide significant protection against Omicron, though a 2-shot regimen is less effective against infection. Furthermore, Dr. Anthony Fauci said all early indications suggest Omicron is less severe than Delta but warns against complacency. Fauci analysis claimed as COVID case fueled by Omicron rapid spread hit record highs in many nations including the US. Hospitalizations are also rising but not with the same speed as new cases. However, hospitalization usually lags new infection by several days. The Omicron variant also shows a degree of immune evasion from antibodies, including those induced by the current available vaccine, Fauci said. But booster shots bring back up the degree of protection to a level that's approximately what it was before, he said. He then highlighted some recent data collected from South Africa, the UK and the US, all of which suggest a lower risk of hospitalization or death from Omicron compared with other waves of COVID. Moreover, Dr. Fauci predicted that the latest wave of pandemic may hit its peak in the US by the end of this month. It tough to say, said Fauci. President Joe Biden's top medical advisors when asked on CNBC Closing Bell at what point the current surge in infection fueled by the new variant will start to recede. Quote, it certainly peaks pretty quickly in South Africa, end quote, where the highly transmission new variant was identified. Fauci said, quote, it went up almost vertically and turned around very quickly, end quote. Fauci also said it is technically possible that Omicron could hasten the end of the pandemic if it proves true that the variant with its high degree of transmissibility replaces other strains of the virus that cause more severe infection. Still, experts have been pleased to see that recent data from numerous countries show Omicron infections are less severe than those from Delta. Fauci said, what you say is possible and that would happen, but there's no guarantee that would mean the end of a serious outbreak, Fauci said. To further back the claims from Dr. Fauci, the UK Health Security Agency found the risk of hospitalization for people infected with Omicron is about a third of that posed by the Delta variant. The study analyzed more than 508,000 Omicron cases and 573,000 Delta cases from November 22nd through December 26th in England. However, Chief Medical Advisor Susan Hoskins cautioned that it is still too early to draw definitive conclusions about the severity of illness caused by Omicron. The new UK study also found COVID vaccine reduced the risk of hospitalization from Omicron across the board, though a booster dose provides the highest level of protection. The latest data added to a growing body of evidence demonstrating that although the vaccines have taken a hit for Omicron, they still provide significant level of protection compared to unvaccinated people. However, the agency found the current vaccines are less effective at preventing symptomatic infection from Omicron compared to the Delta variant. The AstraZeneca vaccine, which is approved in the UK but not in the US, provides no protection against symptomatic infection from Omicron 20 weeks after the second dose. The UK Health Secretary Sally Javid said that unvaccinated are 8 times more likely to end up in the hospital from COVID. However, US CDC said people should avoid cruise travel regardless of vaccination status after recent surge in positive COVID cases on board ships as the highly contagious Omicron variant sweeps the world. The CDC increased its travel warnings for cruise to the highest level as the agency is investigating or observing thousands of ships that have had COVID outbreak. The CDC guideline is a new blow for the industry that was devastated during the first year of the pandemic. The stocks of Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, and Carnival fell on the news. The CDC warned that COVID transmits easily between people in close quarters on ships, and the chance of getting the virus on a cruise is very high even for people who are vaccinated and have received a booster dose. Due to the variant, pilots are getting COVID during the flight. United Airlines is offering its pilots triple pay to pick up trips for most of January to help ease a staffing shortage driven by the rapid spread of the variant on COVID-19. United, Delta, JetBlue, SkyWest, Alaska, and other carriers have cancelled more than 10,000 company flights since December 23rd, citing a combination of bad weather and a surge in sick calls from crew that tested positive for COVID. The disruption comes during what airline executives forecast as the busiest days since the start of the pandemic. Pilots will be offered 3.5 times their pay for flying open trips between December 30th and Jan 3, and triple pay for pickup trips between Jan 4 and Jan 29, the note said. Due to the rapid spread of the COVID Omicron variant, we are currently seeing record levels of pilot sick calls, end quote. The pilot union wrote to its members, quote, the impact on operations is clear and Union has experienced a corresponding large number of cancellations over the past week, end quote. Another flight attendants are also getting extra pay to pick up trips, and other airlines, including JetBlue, American, Southwest, and Spirit, have also jacked up crew pay to avoid holiday flight disruption. Finally, we were talking about how the stock market will react in January of 2022. Given that this is the first month of the year, the stock market will usually either maintain at this level or dip slightly. However, given the sudden mini Christmas rally, some analysts wonder if part of the 2022 rally has already been priced in. To me, it depends on how the virus and the upcoming Federal Reserve meeting could shape the stock market. In conclusion, it is very hard to predict how investors would factor in both the new variant and the upcoming meeting. However, there's one thing that's for sure. There will not be any more free money coming from the Federal Reserve and the US government. Hence, the chance that most investors will be keen to purchase growth companies that have multiple based on future sales is hard to feather with. With that, thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.